Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I formally declare open this council meeting of the Colac Otway Shire on the 28th of July 2026. I'll start with the opening prayer. Almighty God, we seek your blessing and guidance in our deliberations on behalf of the people of the Colac Otway Shire. Enable this council's decisions to be those that contribute to the true welfare and betterment of our community. Amen. I'd like to start this afternoon by acknowledging the traditional custodians and lawmakers of this land, their elders past and present. Please be advised that this meeting is recorded and live streamed, with the exception of confidential matters. This includes the public participation sections of meetings. The live stream recording of this afternoon's meeting will be available on the website as soon as practicable. By participating in open meetings, individuals consent to the use and disclosure of the information they share at the meeting, including any personal and/or sensitive information. I note that all councillors are present. We move to item 3.3, the confirmation of minutes. I propose that we move to confirm the minutes of the unscheduled meeting held on the 14th of July 2026. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hudgell. It's to be seconded. Councillor Howard. I have a motion before us. Councillors will now put to a vote. All those in favour. Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Duke, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Motion is carried 6-7-0. Thanks. 3.4, declarations of interest. Are there any? Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a declaration of interest for item 7.6, I believe. 7.6. Yes, it's a general conflict as I work for one of the retail shops that adjoins the structures.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other conflicts of interest? There are none. We'll now move on to question time. Question time is an opportunity to ask questions of council in a respectful manner. Please extend due courtesy to councillors and officers when addressing council in this meeting. We reserve the right to disallow questions that breach our governance rules. 30 minutes is allowed for question time at council meetings. Community members wishing to ask questions of council by video conference were requested to register their intention by 5 p.m. on Friday the 24th of July 2026. No requests were received. Councillors received questions in writing from Leighton Hart and Susan Langridge. These questions will now be read out in response provided by the relevant member of the Executive Management Team. Thank you, Stephen.
Through you, Mayor. Council has received 5 questions from Mr. Leighton Hart, and as per section 47.3 of Council's governance rules, questions 1 and 2 will be read out and responded to in this meeting. The 3 remaining questions will be responded to in writing. Mr. Hart has provided some context to his question, and this is as it is as read. Given the current rural land market, where smaller holdings are frequently selling for in excess of $20,000 per hectare, it is increasingly unrealistic to expect these parcels will ever be consolidated back into larger scale agricultural operations. Mr. Hart's questions are as follows. Question 1. In light of this, why does Council continue to apply planning controls that effectively prevent families and individuals from building a home on these smaller rural titles? These restrictions are limiting sensible use of the land that is no longer economically viable as part of larger farming enterprises, preventing new residents from establishing themselves in rural areas, reducing opportunities for people wishing to live and contribute to rural communities. Question 2, and both questions will be answered in the same answer. Question 2 is, what is the policy justification for restricting dwellings on sub 40 hectare properties, given current land values and market behaviour? Council's response. All councils are required to base their decisions on their planning schemes, which are statutory documents that include state and local planning policy. State planning policy seeks, amongst other things, to manage the development in rural areas, to protect agriculture and avoid inappropriate rural residential development, to discourage the development of small lots in rural zones for residential use or other incompatible uses, to encourage consolidation of existing isolated small lots in rural zones and to avoid a concentration or proliferation of dwellings in the farming zone. Local planning policy must align with the state policy, and Council is aware of concerns about some policies relating to land use and development in rural areas, and has allocated funding through the recent budget process to review those policies relating to the farming zone. Any proposed changes arising from the review would have to go through a statutory planning scheme amendment process, which would be then approved by the Minister for Planning. The second submitted question is from Ms. Susan Langridge. She has two questions. The questions are as read. How much did the Otway complex fires and flash flood in Wye River in January and February of this year cost Colac Otway Shire in clean-up and repair of infrastructure and in providing services to residents? The second question is, what federal and state grants were received to cover these costs? Both questions will be answered in the one summation. Council's response. Council officers are still working through the recovery process from the fires and Wye River floods. As a result, the full cost of the emergency response, clean-up, infrastructure repairs, community recovery activities and service delivery is not yet known. It's anticipated that a clearer picture of the total recovery costs will be available in the next few months. So far, Council has received support from the state government from two key funding sources to assist with recovery. These funding sources are the Council Support Fund of a value of $750,000, primarily supporting fire recovery activities and the restoration of council infrastructure and services. The Community Recovery Officer and Hub Fund, total value of $775,000, and this primarily covers community recovery initiatives, recovery hubs and dedicated recovery staff. Council is also working with the federal government's disaster recovery funding arrangements, or the DRFA, to reimburse eligible response and recovery costs subject to funding guidelines being met and appropriate evidence of expenditure being provided. While these funding sources are expected to offset a significant proportion of Council's response and recovery costs, the final eligible amount for reimbursement is still being assessed, so the total cost of recovery can't be confirmed at this point.
Thank you. That concludes our written questions. Move to questions from the gallery. In accordance with our governance rules, we've sought registration for questions. We have Elizabeth Ryan. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My first question relates to the recent article that was in the Colac Herald regarding Murray Street and Armstrong Street intersection. And I would like to know, could Council provide an update on communications with the DTP regarding this intersection?
Is that for you, Doug? Thanks.
Through you, Mayor. I'm unaware of any interactions with DTP just in the last few days or week, but there has been a number of occasions that officers and the Mayor and the CEO have raised with DTP concern about that intersection. There was obviously the Hungry Jack's planning permit application, which generated a lot of community concern about the potential traffic movements and how that might create hazard at the intersection, but it's been an issue that Council's been raising for a lot longer than that, over a 10-year period, and I know that the Mayor's made comments in the media in response to the recent accident, highlighting that there is a continued interest in the community having a signalised intersection there. So it will be something that we continue to raise with DP as we get the opportunity going forward.
My second question relates to improving pedestrian safety. Does Colac Otway Shire have a priority plan? My areas of interest are Murray Street. We've already got a pedestrian crossing opposite the Colac West Post Office. The nature strips in front of Miller Street, the community hub, and Murray Street Colac Primary School, which for years, Thomas, who's my youngest, Xavier, he was always worried about the capeweed there. There's still capeweed there, and it's slippery as, and especially it's just like, it's crazy that we just can't have like either those little concrete blocks that actually interlink and let grass grow through it, but let the surface be stable. That's my question regarding, do we have does the council have a plan for any areas, and how can we contribute to that, please?
Through you, Mayor, Council does have some strategies that have an aspiration of improving nature strips, particularly in the commercial areas over time. So there's the Colac CBD and entrances project or strategy, and there's the one tonight, the Civic Health and Railway Precinct Plan. But in terms of some of the issues that you're raising around current condition of nature strips, that might be something that I encourage you to provide some details of specific locations, and we'd be happy to have a look at that for you. But just noting that management of nature strips is a private landowner responsibility in most cases.
So one of the ones I noticed the other day was actually in front of Miller Street, that a vehicle was trying to help a lady, pick up a lady who had a walker, and there's no way she can get across that nature strip. It was really, I was frustrated for her, so it was like...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I thought, if we can have a look at those.
We'll whack that one on the list of things to send in. That'd
Thank
be
you.
great. All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, that concludes our question time. We'll now move on to item 5, petition and joint letters. 5.1, petition to stop the demolition of the original Colac West Primary School. We have Bill Comley wishes to address as the head submitter. Thank you.
Mayor and councillors, thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I'm here to ask council to do one simple but important thing: seek a pause to the planned demolition of the former Heritage School building, Colac West Primary School, until its potential for community use can be properly considered. The agenda has made me aware that council does not have power to stop the demolition, but it could use its intergovernment voice and influence to pause the demolition whilst future uses could be determined through public consultation. This is simply not an old building, it's part of Colac's history. Generations of people have passed through its doors. It represents a significant public investment that's already been made, and once it's demolished, this is lost forever. What concerns many people is not just the proposed demolition itself, but the process that has led us here. Despite this being a publicly owned asset, there's been virtually no meaningful community consultation by the Victorian School Building Authority or the Department of Education to ask a very simple question: could this building continue to serve the community in another way? That question has never really been asked. Across Victoria, former government school buildings have found new life as valuable community assets. This building could offer a similar opportunity here in Colac. Nor has there been transparency around the building's condition or its suitability for alternate use. The community has not been provided with information about what assessments have been undertaken, what works may be required, or whether issues such as accessibility, building compliance, or other limitations could be addressed as part of an adaptive reuse project. Those are important questions and should be answered through an open and informed process. Colac Otway Shire's own strategic documents speak about valuing our built environment, strengthening community infrastructure, supporting livable places and making the best use of existing public assets. Those objectives are not entirely consistent with asking that this building be given a genuine, these objectives are entirely consistent with asking that this building be given a genuine opportunity to demonstrate its future value. Demolition itself will also come at a significant public expense. Before tax money taxpayers' money is spent removing this publicly owned asset, one which has already had $468,000 spent on it in recent years, surely it's reasonable to ask whether the same asset could instead continue to serve the people who ultimately pay for it. Nobody is asking council to commit to purchasing the building today nor to fund its restoration. The request is simply this: ask the Victorian Government to pause demolition long enough for council and the community to explore viable alternative uses. Once this building is gone, we cannot rebuild its history, its character, or its potential, but we can choose to pause. The cost of waiting a little longer is small. The cost of demolishing first and asking questions later is permanent. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Or Mr. Comley. Thanks, councillors. Is there any questions of officers on this item? No? All right, there's an officer recommendation in the report. Does any councillor wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Duke. Is it to be seconded? Councillor McCrickard. Councillor Duke, do you wish to speak? Thank you.
While it's not necessarily our building, I appreciate you moving forward and showing your passion for the community and retaining what we can. If it's important to you, then it's important to a lot of other community, I assume, and I appreciate you taking the time to bring our attention to it so that hopefully we can look at it as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor McCrickard as the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. Listening to Mr. Comley, quite a convincing argument. Colac West School has been around for a long, long time, and it's a very significant building. I can see the potential for other uses for the building. A few come to mind, but I think the community interest in this, which has been headed by Mr. and Mrs. Comley, has been quite significant, and I congratulate them on their work. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, nice to see Mr. and Mrs. Comley here representing the community. I think many of us were a little bit shocked when we read about it in the Colac Herald. There's no doubt that works need to be done at that location for the benefit of educating our kids and growing attendance and use of the school. So, you know, compliments to the government for doing that. But is there a way of repurposing the building? We never were really given that opportunity. Now the community are asking for us to have a go at that, and hopefully we will make some inquiries about that, but it's not our decision at the end.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Howard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate the submitters on a very articulate speech, and you know, you've done your homework. You know where the authority lies with this demolition, and you understand what council's power is, and that's basically in this project an advocacy role. But I commend you for doing a very professional submission. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor? No. We have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dukes, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm, carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. Now move on to, there are no planning authorities for item 6, so we'll move on to 7.1, adoption of asset management policy. Questions of officers. Does any councillor have a question? No? There's an officer recommendation in the report. Councillors, does anyone wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Howard. Is it to be seconded? Councillor McCrickard. Councillor Howard is a mover. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. This went out for public exhibition for 6 weeks and we had no submissions, so I commend the officers, must have done an absolutely wonderful job on this one. But it is a very important document that we need. You know, asset management, asset renewal is one of our most important tasks as councillors for our term and then for the future generations coming ahead. So even though there seem to be not a great lot of public interest, I just want to strengthen or emphasise, I should say, the importance of these type of documents for local government. So thank you again, officers.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor McCrickard is the seconder. Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. We have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Duke, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramms, carried 7-0. Thanks, councillors. Move on to 7.2. The Colac Civic, Health and Rail Precinct Plan. Questions of officers. Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor. If Council was to adopt this precinct plan today, what happens next?
Yes, thanks, Councillor Potter. Through you, Mayor, the next step is to use the plan as a roadmap for the precinct's future. So it will guide council and stakeholders in identifying and progressing initiatives that strengthen the precinct, improve activation and connectivity, and it will support future investment opportunities. So the plan will provide the overarching direction with specific actions and projects to be considered over time as the opportunity arises.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? None? Very good. We have an officer recommendation in the report. Does any council wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Potter, is it to be seconded? Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Potter as the mover. Thank you.
Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to move this recommendation. This is another alliteration of plans that have been tinkered with over the last few years, really. I think what's in front of us looks pretty good. The community consultation, the submissions have been really valid and sensible. Concerns raised about parking, pedestrian and vehicular interaction and so forth are all valid and give councillors and officers something to consider. But this area is really crying out for development and improvement, and it's a long-term strategy. But we can't start doing any development or advocacy without a plan. And congratulate staff and the community for helping to shape this. If it's adopted today, then officers can set about the work of advocacy, fine-tuning some of the aims of the plan and the direction, working with government and government agencies like VicTrack that really have got some valuable land here that really needs some work and development to make a true community precinct with arts and improved rail connectivity and better services for council as well, to make the community in the long term very proud of this precinct. So I'm pleased to support this.
Thanks, councillor. Councillor McCrickard is the seconder.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, this is a very exciting plan, and it's a moving plan. It'll be added and alternated depending on how staff receive feedback from the community, and I think that's one of the really great parts of council is the consultation period, and we allow submitters from the public to put forward their ideas, and I'd really like to thank them because some of the changes and views of the public are really, really worthwhile. And I guess as councillors, we're all just moving through the place, but this is your town, and it's great to have your input. But I just think it's really exciting. I just wish that I was around in 2050 to have a look at all this. It looks fantastic. But no, I think it's great. And well done to all council staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Hudgell.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd also like to acknowledge the officers and all their work they've done. The plan has been developed through an intensive consultation, including surveys and direct engagement with stakeholders and public exhibition, and 53 survey responses and 6 formal submissions were received, and many of those submissions directly influenced the changes in the final document, which was really great to see. And I think it's equally important to note that, you know, adopting this plan doesn't commit council to immediate spending. It's rather, it provides a strategic framework that allows the future projects to be developed and funding opportunities to be pursued in the future. So thank you again.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. No. We have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put to vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Duke, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Shrams. Carried. 7-0. Thanks, councillors. Move on to 7.3. Regional Library Services. Transition to new governance model. Questions of officers. Councillor Howard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note reading the report, this seems to be one of the first steps into transitioning to a new governance model. Could you explain the next steps, please?
Thanks, Councillor Howard. So the next steps are all those councils that are involved in the Geelong Regional Library Corporation are being asked a similar question as to whether or not they want to continue with that model. With the commitment of other councils, then we can start to work on what the governance arrangements are that then underpins the ongoing operation of the library service, and from there other things like the financial contribution models and other things can be determined. But this is a very important first step in securing the ongoing future of the Geelong Regional Library Corporation. Under legislative change, all the corporations are having to review the governance arrangements around these sorts of alliances, and we have to move to another model by 2030. So this is the first step in that process.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? There's an officer recommendation in the report, councillors. Does any council wish to move that as the motion? Councillor McCrickard. Is it to be seconded? Councillor Howard. Councillor McCrickard as a mover. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mayor. And as our CEO explained, this is purely a governance move for consideration. It's a transition from the Geelong Regional Library Corporation to a new governance model, as explained just previously. I guess having the opportunity to be on the library board, it's given me a new appreciation of libraries. They play a pivotal role in our communities. No longer are they a place where you have to be quiet, change books and out the door. It's now become very much a community-based focus, providing activities and really educational activities for young people, like little children, 3 and 4, a place for mothers to gather and talk, and it's a place for older people to learn. And it's become a bit of a refuge for people to be able to go in there and find a warm spot, maybe have a drink, read the paper, all sorts of things. I was in there the other day and there's some young people who are doing it pretty hard, who are charging their phones. So all those sorts of experiences are really worthwhile. So I just want to congratulate our library staff in Colac. They do a tremendous job. And sometimes people in their roles can be taken for granted or whatever, but they are just fantastic. So thank you. Yep.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Howard is the seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Councillor McGregor, he's nailed it. The libraries are more than just books, and I think the shared services model will hopefully give us more bang for our buck and make the libraries very contemporary in the future as well for other services. The change in the Act, in the Local Government Act 2020, I think gave us an opportunity then to look at the governance models over libraries, and I think the way that's heading, it will bring in a lot more professional type of input into decision making, while local decisions are still held by the various councils. So I think the way it's heading is actually going to be a lot better for our community. I've heard the expression before that, you know, people have their third space. First space is home, second space is work, and third space is places like a library. They're safe, they're welcoming, they're a way that community can connect. So I'm looking forward to the next few chapters in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? No? A motion before us, councillors. Will now put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dee, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Udgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramms. Carried 7-0. Thanks, councillors. Move on to 7.4, Microsoft licensing renewal. Purpose of this report is to rectify the council resolution adopted on the 23rd of June due to a clerical error in the original resolution. Questions of officers? Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just clarify with officers, this correction doesn't come with any legal liability or risk?
Through the chair, that's correct, and in fact, it just it reflects an administrative, it rectifies an administrative error, and ensures that the resolution reflects council's original intention, and doesn't change the outcome or the officer recommendation.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. There's an officer recommendation in the report. Does any councillor wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Udgell. Is it to be seconded? Councillor Howard. Councillor Udgell is mover. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, as we've just spoken about, this matter is primarily about correcting an administration error in a previous council resolution and ensuring that the contract is awarded to the intended tenderer, identified through the evaluation process, and I just appreciate the integrity and transparency through the process. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor. Councillor Howard is the seconder. Nothing? Any other councillor wish to speak? No, we have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dee, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Udgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Carried. 7-0. Thanks, councillors. We'll now move on to 7.5, Australia Day 2027, expression of interest submissions. Questions of officers? Councillor Howard, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a very quick question. We only got one submission, but the submission process was like last year. There was nothing changed with that?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? There's an officer recommendation in the report. Councillors, does anyone wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Potter? Is it to be seconded? Councillor Hudgell. Councillor Potter, as the mover, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, as we've heard, Council went out for an expression of interest across the community to see an organisation or location that might want to hold the Australia Day event in our citizenship ceremony, which is one of my favourite occasions of the year. We've had a submission from the Cressy Aerodrome, who successfully hosted last year's Australia Day event. It was very well attended, and I think all councillors got out there as well to participate and support, and it was a pretty good day. So Cressy Aerodrome have applied again through the expression of interest process, and happy to support the recommendation and give them the rights to host the event. I do think that the event could be shared across the Shire, different locations, and in different formats, and that's perhaps something that councillors and officers can talk about over the next few months. But in the meantime, I have every confidence there'll be another good Australia Day out at Cressy Aerodrome.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Hudgell as the seconder.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to echo Councillor Potter's comments. Cressy Aerodrome successfully hosted 2026 Australia Day event. The event attracted strong attendance and positive community feedback, providing confidence in the organisation's capacity to deliver another successful event for next year. The proposed 2027 program includes some aircraft displays, market stalls, food vendors, live music, children's activities, which are all great things, including the citizenship ceremony and the Community Achievement Awards as well. Like Councillor Potter, I do support the continued partnership model where the community leads the celebration event while council remains responsible for the civic elements. However, looking ahead, I'd also like to encourage us to keep an open mind and review the model over time, just to explore whether there are opportunities for council to play a greater role in delivering these events, especially in different or more central areas that improve accessibility for more people across the Shire as well. But thank you to Cressy Aerodrome. I wish them the best for another successful event, and also the Eco Development team. I know they've worked in collaboration. They've done a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. I'd just like to thank Cressy Aerodrome not only for last year's great event, but just remember you set the bar for yourself, and hopefully you can jump over it this year. It was a very well attended event. On trying conditions too. We had fires and a quite hot and windy day, and it was still a great success. So thank you. We have a motion before us. Councillors, we'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour: Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dew, Councillor McCricker, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Shrams. Carried 7-0. Thanks, councillors. We'll move on to 7.6. Councillor Howard, you indicated you had a conflict of interest, so I'll wait for you to leave the room. Thank you. Oh, you have to restate it, boss. Sorry. Yeah, just for, official governance records.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I have a general conflict because I work for one of the retail stores adjacent to the benches or whatever they're called. Structures, thank you.
Thanks, councillor. Thank you. Councillor Howard has left the room. Questions of officers, outdoor, Apollo Bay, temporary outdoor dining structures, proposed transition and removal. I have a question. So we did a report in 2025 stating that the structures were obsolete or over date, and did a structure report on them stating that they need $85,000 spent on them because of the deterioration and the current state they were in. Why is the recommendation to allow them to sit there for another 9 months or until after Easter next year.
Thanks for your question. The independent structural assessment found that the planter boxes and the decking were structurally sound and suitable for continued use of a further 12 months, subject to some recommended maintenance work. So on that basis, retaining the planter boxes for that further 6 to 7 months would fall within that period that was assessed by the engineer. The report has identified a small number of maintenance and risk mitigation measures which will be attended to, and that will cover that period until after Easter. And other recommendations such as like aesthetics work, such as painting and varnishing, that can reasonably be deferred. But again, as the report mentions, it is all subject to DTP approval for the permit extension. The recommendation to pull them out after the Easter period was to enable community enough time and council enough time to work with those impacted shops to work through pathways for outdoor activation.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No? What was their intended lifespan when they were put in?
So they were intended to come out within 6 to 12 months from the date of the state of emergency concluding. So that would make it around 2022.
Thanks. Are there any questions? No? There's an officer recommendation in the report. Does any councillor wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Potter? Is it to be seconded? Councillor Dadu? Councillor Potter as the mover. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. In September 2020, the Victorian Government introduced the outdoor eating and entertainment package to support businesses impacted by COVID, and as a result of that, Council was successful in getting some funding to introduce these temporary outdoor living, eating or dining spaces, sometimes referred to as pods. And look, we have heard, and in response to some questions from the Mayor, that these are effectively past their use by date in a way. Certainly the period that they were to be used for has expired. But they have proven to be valuable assistance to the businesses in Apollo Bay. They do cause some issues with perhaps blocking drains, trapping rubbish underneath them, and there's a couple, one in Hardy Street in particular, in poor order, and it does certainly make sense to remove them. One, because the date has expired, but don't underestimate their value, and I think this recommendation is really, really cognizant of the fact that the businesses in Apollo Bay have been struggling, and this period of time gives them notice that council are going to remove these dining areas. Be prepared for that. Come up with an alternative, work with council to see what happens next, but allows them plenty of time to prepare, and also gives them another opportunity to perhaps maximise their custom over the summer period. So I thank the officers for allowing that extra period of time for business to prepare. I totally understand Mayor's point of view in relation to perhaps why not do it now, but I think this is a very sensible compromise, and businesses on notice that this is what we're going to do, but you've got a bit more time left.
Thank you. Councillor Dugas, the seconder.
Thank you. I appreciate all the work that the staff has done going into checking how safe they are and keeping up with maintenance up until this point. And I do understand the reasons why they need to be removed, but I really appreciate giving the businesses the busy season and ensuring that they'll be safe until that point, and allowing the businesses to take their own initiative to either keep them up to code or find another alternative, but at least give them a chance to put their ducks in a row. And I appreciate the amount of effort that it's gone into talking with the businesses, so thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor? No, I'll say a few things because I'm going to vote against this, and just to explain my reasons. I think it's great that you giving businesses in the recommendation that amount of time, but I think I'm weighing that up with the liability and the risk to council and the cost. These should have been removed, like say, in 2022, so they've been there 4 years overdue. They were temporary structures. They're in the car parks. They present a risk for cars pulling in and crashing through them. I think we've been lucky to get away with no incidents so far. We don't have a permit yet from the Department of Transport, so to keep them in there, I think, is a little bit foolish. In the report, we've got a report in December 25 said they need $85,000 spent on them. We have nothing in the budget for them, and to give them the best part of another year when we're not budgeted for in a few months and they're in poor condition, who's going to bear the costs of that? I think if this motion isn't successful, I'll move another one that gives them 3 months, which allows them to refresh their own dining spaces. They can get permits from council and they can still do street dining. We're not taking that away from them. This is just what goes into the car parks and onto the Great Ocean Road, essentially. You identify in the report that it's a trap for rubbish, which can be unsanitary and things, and I think the businesses down there have had a pretty fair run of these temporary structures that have been there for 5 or 6 years now, and I can't support giving them another 9 months at least when our reports say that they need renewal, they need $85,000 spent on them, and they are a liability and a risk to council. Great, you give them that notice, but I can't support that amount of time. So that's why I'll be voting against this, and if it isn't successful, I'll move another one similar, but with the time frame of 3 months, so that they can get things ready for the busy Christmas summer period, and like they did prior to building these outdoor spaces on the Great Ocean Road in the car parks. Thank you. Right reply, Councillor Potter. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. The Mayor is correct in that for these pods to remain in place until the Easter period, we do need permission from the Department of Transport or Planning. So it's a conditional thing that we allow them in place. We don't know whether we'll get permission or not. I suspect we will. But if we don't, well, they just have to come out. The quote for the $85,000 potentially just be spent on them. That's a difficulty for council if we have to go down that path. Perhaps businesses might come to the party if it's deemed that some repairs need to be made. If they're not made, perhaps some of these pods will have to come out early. I was there recently having coffee in one of these outdoor dining areas. I couldn't comment on what was underneath it, but it was well maintained, painted in very good order. They're not all like that, I accept that, but I think there is still some value in retaining them until the Easter period.
Thanks, Councillor. We have a motion before us now. Put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Dew, Councillor McCrickard. All those against? Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Schramm is tied. That's 3-3. I'll have to use my casting vote to vote against the recommendation. He's lost 3-4. I flagged that I'd move an alternative. So I will. It'll be the same as the officer recommendation. Except point 3 will be removed by October 31st, 2026. Sorry? By October 31st. It's 31 days in October, isn't it? So, 2026. Thanks. Needs to be seconded. Is there a seconder? Councillor Buchanan. Thanks. I think I've stated all my reasons previously. There's no need to go over it again. Councillor Buchanan as the seconder.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't really see any reason to prolong the inevitable. We know that there could be a cost associated with prolonging it, and from what I hear from officer reports, that there's been adequate time to the shop owners to prepare for this sort of thing. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Dudu, thank you.
I think Apollo Bay's had its struggles with the fire and the flood, and if we can support them in any way possible, I just don't think the 3 months is enough time for people to prepare and to get approval and to go all of the route that they would need to do in order to get other structures in place. Yeah, I just don't think it's enough time, to be honest. And we've done all the checks to say that they're safe enough to stay. I trust in the staff's work. Yeah, I just don't think 3 months is enough time.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Hudgel, thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I did come in today wanting to support the officer's recommendation, and then after hearing the Mayor speak, I agree with the Mayor and thank him for bringing this alternative motion forward.
Any other councillor? Councillor Potter?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I think my views are known, and I won't re-prosecute that. I think the original time frame to the end of Easter was sensible and assistance to business.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No. I'll just reiterate that this decision, I've brought this, purely from a risk to council and a liability, and the forecast of money to be spent and the unknown. And I anticipate that the street traders having a table and chairs and things out the front, that they'll be able to do that through due process and be helped through that process with our staff if need be. Thank you. We have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Hudgel, Councillor Schramm. All those against? Councillor Potter, Councillor Dudu, Councillor McCrickard. It's 3-all. Use a casting vote in favour. Motion is carried 4-3. Thank you, councillors. If we can get Councillor Howard back in, thank you. Thanks, Councillor Howard. It's returned. We'll move to item 7.7, Governance Report Monthly. Questions of officers? No questions? No, we have an officer recommendation in the report, councillors. Does anyone wish to move that as the motion? Councillor Hudgell, is it to be seconded? Councillor Potter? Councillor Hudgell as a mover. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. This report is an important part of maintaining our accountability and transparency in Council's decision-making processes. I do like this report, reading this every month. The first recommendation relates to the appointment of Angela Daly. We welcome her to the Colac Otway Shire. The report also recommends the addition of Paul Menzies and Ian Dure to the Colac Public Hall, who perform valuable work managing our facilities on behalf of the local communities. And I'd just like to thank all the volunteers who contribute their time and effort in these roles. And finally there's the report of the informal meetings of councillors, and these records are just a great commitment to our transparency regarding the council briefings and meetings, and just like to thank the officers for putting these together. They are a great read if you do have some time.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Potter is the seconder. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to support what Councillor Hudgell said. I think we sat back and allowed her the opportunity to move this motion, as it is one of her favourite parts of meetings.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. We have a motion before us, councillors. We'll now put to vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dew, Councillor McCrickar, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Motion is carried 7-0. Thanks. No items for noting. Is there any urgent business? No. Move on to item 10.1, notices of motion. MAV State Council motion, October 26, disaster emergency funding to be provided by state government upfront. It's Councillor Howard. Are you moving the motion? Yeah. Is there any questions? No. A motion moved by Councillor Howard. Is it to be seconded? Councillor Buchanan. Councillor Howard is the mover. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is put forward because of the timing that we need to get the motions to the State Council, MAV State Council, in October, and they have to be consistent with the policies and strategic intent of the Municipal Association of Victoria. As I said, it's consistent with our submission into the bushfire inquiry that myself and the CEO attended. Again, I think there was a question about funding after our recent natural disasters from the gallery. So it's very important that we get the appropriate funding to not leave especially rural councils out of pocket. So this is calling basically for upfront money, because we know we're going to suffer natural disasters more frequently and more severely. So if we have funds up front, we can prepare a lot better. We can prepare our plant, we can prepare our staff, we can prepare our community. But also, out of disasters always comes other associated expenses that the state and federal government won't cover, but they are affecting our long-term financial viability, our ability to deliver new projects, ability to do discretionary projects, and to basically put money back into our community. So I think it's a very important motion, and I hope it's supported by councillors here and then supported by the other councils in Victoria as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Buchanan is the seconder. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. I think this is an excellent notice of motion put forward by Councillor Howard and the staff. It brings to light the importance of having good affiliations with groups like MAV. I think in the past there's been a lot of these associations have been seen as irrelevant, but I think Councillor Howard is certainly bringing this one to the fore. This particular motion, it hits to the heart of support expected by regional shires in areas that are generally unfunded. So who knows what else we miss out on spending ability in a shire because we've got to cop the cost of this sort of stuff. There's also, it points to the new expectations of manpower and equipment to support other organisations like DECA. We get to cop the graders and the manpower, and right now we've got, I suppose, an area that grading our enormous amounts of gravel roads. I'm quite sure that the January, February, March period where we had to put manpower and graders and equipment on wait and also to work in combating these disasters, it holds everything else up, and it's a big cost to Shire. It also notes the lack of capacity and preparation in emergency disasters, and I think that all those things should be pushed very, very, very hard to our government. I suppose it's the unseen costs to provide other necessary funding. So the money we've got to put into funding these disasters, it costs us in footpaths, road repairs, all the other stuff that we're constantly up against. So very, very important notice of motion. Well done.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Potter,
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'm very pleased to support this motion. Disaster and emergency funding is a big ticket item for rural councils in particular, and especially shires like ours where we sit in the heart of one of the most bush-prone areas in the world. And councils are always shortchanged after some sort of disaster and emergency. And councils are always at the forefront in the fight against and the recovery from disasters and emergency. Not the state government, not the federal government, it's our people out there. And we know what it's like, and we know what's required to recover from them. We know what's required to try and mitigate the occurrence of them or the effect of them, and we need the money to do that. This was a strong theme at the recent ALGA conference in Canberra, and I'm pleased to support our MAV rep with this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? No? Or a reply? No. Oh, yeah, right, a reply, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just forgot to thank the governance team and the CEO for helping me articulate this notice of motions, so thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. We have a motion before us. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Dew, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors, members of the public. This concludes our council meeting. The Colac Otway Shire. I declare this meeting closed at 2:03 p.m.